Good morning, everyone.
Right.
How are you guys feeling today?
Feeling alive, energized, ready to get even more pumped up and into a happy Christmas Friday series here coming up. I mean, I don't know who's working this week, what your priorities are with things. We have some family that's visiting, and we've got lots of
Can't
things
hear anything. Is it Gabby?
lined up for that. You can't hear me?
I can hear fine. Okay, Mark can hear fine. Gabby, check to see if your microphone is set up, because the microphone and the speaker from Zoom, they will set up together.
The mic and the speaker. Yeah.
If she can't hear me. Mom, type that.
Oh, I'll type.
I just joined.
Got it.
Okay, so she can hear us. Awesome.
Well, cool. We're glad to have you guys back here again on our energetic alignment and mindset series. Excited to have this, just giving you guys a little intro again to go over that. My name is Zach. This is Monique.
Hello.
I've been a real estate investor for 10 years, done a lot of different things with that, had some great successes, have plenty of not successes, but maybe we can frame them as successes that have gotten me to where I am, taught me tons of lessons in life. So I'll share that with my real estate people, but with you guys, I'll share what we get energetically and what we have built on and powered throughout that time. So that's why we wanted to create this series, is just to help everybody, sharing some of the things that we know, some of the journey that I was on before meeting this lovely lady here, who is the smartest darn thing when it comes to energetics and mindset stuff, because she got a master's of public health and then went on her own journey of healing her body, her mind, everything, like we all have to do at times, and if you haven't yet, then we're excited to start that with you. But so and she's helped me even more, and just continually helping me as I'm trying to push past my limiting beliefs and where I have been, because we're going to stumble forward. And so how do you deal with those types of things? That's some of the fun that we're going to continually talk about in this series.
Yeah. And hello. And what I think Zach was saying is our life experience has brought us here, essentially. And one thing that I've learned throughout my journey, coming from a very corporate and academia background to where I am now, which is energetics in a very esoteric field, is that eventually, if we can open up our mind enough and shift our beliefs enough, we realize that life is much more than the eye can see and what we've been taught. And we can open up to an understanding that there is something more here. And all of the great minds historically have come to this similar understanding. And last week, we talked a little bit about some basic understanding of energetics. So I just want to briefly recap that. We talked a little bit about beliefs last week. We're going to go deeper into the energetics of limiting beliefs, how to shift that, how to recognize them, the emotional component of that, and why the emotional component is the most important part. And then we're going to finish out today with some proper ways to write affirmations and how people tend to screw affirmations up. And so you guys don't do that, because it's so important just being able to have that awareness of how you're talking to yourself, how you're thinking thoughts throughout the day, because we think upwards of 80,000 thoughts a day, how you are just feeling about things throughout life and how you are just approaching every single day. And so basic things that I want to recap again. So we are energetic. Everything in the universe is energy. Okay. And all energy is neither created nor destroyed. It only transmutes and manifests in different forms. That means by law, the energy that is creating us today was here before and will be here after we leave physical form. Energy knows no boundaries. It is not dictated by religion. Everything is energy. So when I say this, I'll use terms like universe. And when I say that, I'm just meaning like that God creator, higher power energy. So if you need to translate that into whatever resonates with you, please do so. And as always, if anything I say just totally feels off the wall, leave it. But as today we're talking about expanding your mind and opening up your belief systems, I'm going to encourage you to challenge yourself and ask questions. Use the chat box if you have questions throughout. We do have some time at the end for Q&A, and these calls will typically be about an hour. So we will wrap this up right around noon Eastern time. So about 53 minutes from now. And, but if something pops up, you're probably not the only one thinking it. So please use the chat box to ask any questions, get clarification if you want to go deeper into something. Okay.
So you recapped last time. So before we get into this one, I just want to give you guys a little bit of overview of, what we're going to be talking about in this whole series, just generally speaking. And thank you, Jesse. You're pretty awesome too, buddy. So we have whiteboarded on other whiteboards what we want to talk about in all the series. And it's just like, it's expansive. It's crazy. Like there's so much stuff to talk about. It's nuts. So this is what we're whiteboarding for that we're going to talk about just this time. And there's I want you to think about this continual series that we're going to do as like running around a track. You've all seen a track at, high school, growing up. It's like running around that track. We're going to continually take you around that track, and we're going to touch on all the different topics of energetics and mindset. And so that could be a few months easily just to run around the track once. And so sometimes there's going to be spots on this track where we're going to go off and we're going to take maybe a day, maybe 2 days to really dive deep into a specific topic. Because even just today, we're coming up with all this stuff about limiting beliefs and affirmations, going through all of that. And she's just like, how the heck am I going to cram all of this into an hour for these folks? I'm not going to be able to serve these folks very well. And I'm like, calm down. It's okay. We're just going to like scratch the surface of all these, because she's telling me she has like full courses for 5, 6 of these different topics, master classes to really dive deep into that. And so I say, okay, don't worry. We're just going to be running around a track. And every now and then we can go into one subject deeper, but we're always going to come back to the track, and we're going to run around that track, because even when you're going around there and it's stuff that you have heard before, how many times you just need to hear it one more time. And then that's just the thing that you need that day. It arrived at exactly the right time. It lands perfectly for you. And gosh, I just need to be reminded of things a lot. I don't know about you, but I'll just pick on me in that sense, where I just need it more and more. And every time I hear it, I get a little bit more from it, because I'm at a different spot myself, ready to absorb that new thing. Mm-hmm. And that's what's really cool about it. So that's just a general flow of how we can expect this to go. But do know that we're going to be going deep. And that's going to be fun too, is when we go deep. And we're going to probably lose some people that haven't been with us from the beginning on that, but that's okay, because we're going to go back to the track and we're just going to run around that track again. And it's going to be really fun, really fun, guys.
Yeah. So speaking of that, I just want to go into what we're going to talk about today. So last week we started to flirt with limiting beliefs and just what they are. So essentially in the body, they're dense energy. They show up as us saying things, yeah, but, or I can't do this because, or it's a reason why, something that feels really good in your body. If you were here for last week or you watched the replay, we did that exercise where you tuned in to the feeling of having whatever desire you wanted and bringing that into your body. So if anything is blocking that or getting in the way of that, that's a limiting belief. Why? Because if it's a desire on your heart, it's meant for you to have. It wouldn't be there if it wasn't. And it wouldn't be there if you weren't capable of bringing that into the world. But things that can get in the way are the ways that we identify the things that we believe, the things that we've been conditioned to believe. So know that most limiting beliefs are not your fault. They were bestowed upon you, but it is our responsibility to shift that energy to move them out. And where people get caught up is they try to outwill their limiting beliefs. They try to outthink them, and they try to work on their limiting beliefs very cerebrally. So they stay in the mind and they're like, okay, I'm thinking this belief, but I want to think this belief. So I'm just going to repeat this belief to myself 100 times a day and it's going to be good. No, that is not how the body works. And the body is really amazing in a sense that it is a huge system. Sorry, I'm still getting used to the microphone if you weren't here last week. And the body is a huge system And we have our mental body, our emotional body, our energy body, and our physical body all working in cohesion together, communicating and then communicating to ourselves. And so when you create a limiting belief in your life, it is created as a protection. It is not a bad thing. Something happened in your life where you learned this isn't safe. It's not safe for me to approach other people because I'll get rejected or laughed at. It's not safe for me to communicate my needs to mom and dad because they don't have time for me. It's not safe for me to progress forward in this project because then I'll get yelled at by my teacher for doing something that I wasn't supposed to be doing, or whatever the story is. And remember last week we talked about lowercase t and capital T of trauma. If there's a traumatic event that happens, whether it be you fall and you scrape your knee the first time you're playing on the playground, or you're in a car accident, or you lose someone, then it doesn't matter. The body is responding similarly, and it creates a defense. It creates a protection. The nervous system is activated. And until we can learn to connect with our body to deactivate our nervous system and bring it back to regulation, our energy is going to stay in a space of tension and density in the body, which will manifest as the limiting belief. And it will manifest as the, I can't do this, or I'm not cut out for this, or I don't know if I'm capable of this, or I'm going to get rejected. And that feels scary. So you want
Oh my gosh. Like that's just, so she's a smart cookie, huh? Right. How many times I got to say that? Can we unpack some of that? Because you're mentioning that limiting beliefs, they show up in our mind, in our body.
Yeah.
And
I'm about to go into that.
And okay,
Yeah.
good. All right, guys, don't worry, because I'm tracking with you. Like, let's,
Yeah.
she has lots of information. That's one of the reasons why we like to have a replay too. It's not just for the people that don't make it here. It's for the people that you just need to get a little bit more. Some of this is just new vocabulary. And even to me, of all the things I know, the dumber I feel, the more things I know in this world.
Yeah.
What the heck? What's up with that? There's so many things to know. And so just having someone that's so close to me, it's almost like she's speaking a foreign language. So unless you're attuned to that language and you're used to hearing those words, they're going to go by very quickly. Very, very quickly.
Yeah,
and so that's why I'm going to be here to be like, okay, let's pump the brakes on it and make sure that she slows down a little bit for us. So you guys can chime up if you're feeling that too, and I'll watch the chat.
And if there's a point that I make, just type in a couple key words, because when I get excited, I do tend to talk fast. So yes, Jenny, I see. I can talk a little slower. But if there's something you want me to go to recap, I can totally do that. I really want you guys, I want this to land with you. I always set the intention that this will hit you where it needs to hit you so that it can create whatever transformation you need in your life. And so I want that to happen, right? And so beliefs, they manifest as thoughts. However, they are tied into the body, so to speak, via emotions. And so when we try to outwill our beliefs and we see them as an enemy, so there are two issues there. We see our limiting beliefs as the enemy. The limiting beliefs are not the enemy. They are trying to keep us safe. They are trying to protect us. We're going to go deeper into this in the next call, the ego. So limiting beliefs, they're communicated via that critical voice in our head, also known as the ego, which we will dive into next week. So that's all I'm going to say about that. So that those show up because think of the ego as that older sibling wanting to protect you, or that almost that helicopter parent that's just looking over you too much. They're not giving you any freedom to go explore and play in the dirt and maybe fall and get back up. They're holding you so that you don't even get a chance to fall.
It's that fight or flight type of ingrained in me, primal, caveman type of thing.
Yes.
I don't want to get hurt again. I know that thing's going to hurt me. And so I might not even be thinking that. I might want to do something with that, yet my subconscious is already programmed. No, I know better. I'm going to take care of you, even though you don't want to take care of yourself. I'm going to take care of you, and they're going to limit me.
Yeah.
Stupid subconscious.
So the limiting beliefs, they show up as a way to protect you and to keep you safe. So one, we can stop seeing them as the enemy because the body is very smart. And remember, limiting beliefs present themselves as beliefs in the mind, but they are actually emotions living in the body. They are trapped. It's a trapped emotional experience in the body. I'm going to go into this. So they are actually, it's somatic experience, somatic meaning in the body, of the body experience, presenting itself as a cerebral one, in the mind, cerebral in the mind. So what happens is when we try to outwill them and we look at them as an enemy, our body is going to fight back, because we're essentially saying, this is not good. Like, we separate ourselves from ourselves. Because remember, your limiting beliefs are a part of you trying to keep you safe. So when you say limiting belief bad, limiting belief equals enemy, then you're saying this part of me is bad. This part of me is an enemy. And what that does is, on a subconscious level, it creates separation in your identity. And it's you telling yourself, I am not a safe place to be. I am not safe. On a very fundamental level, I am not safe. And from in utero, pre-life on earth, in utero, our number one need is safety. And this is why when we are children, our brain waves are vibrating at a specific wavelength where they're very impressionable. And everything our parents do and everything we see going on in our life, we take that on as truth, because that's how we learn we need to be safe to survive. And so when we are telling ourselves limiting beliefs bad, we're saying I'm bad. We're saying I'm not safe. I'm not a safe place to be. The body's goal is to create safety. And it's in order for it to shift limiting beliefs, it has to feel safe. If it doesn't feel safe, remember, your nervous system is in that fight or flight activation, because you have that limiting belief you're operating from. It's keeping you safe. When we see a threat, our nervous system gets activated. And so if we're continuously saying my limiting beliefs are bad, I'm bad, the nervous system does not get a chance to relax. The nervous system does not get a chance to deregulate and to come down back to baseline. And so then we stay in a stress response, and therefore the body stays in a stress response. And the last thing it wants to do is focus on what you're thinking about. It's focusing on all the threats around you. It's focusing on how to keep you alive. Okay, so this is a hierarchical need of the body. First, to keep you alive, and then to focus on changing your view of the world. Because if you're not alive, it doesn't matter what your view of the world is, right? And so, what, babe?
I was just going to say, so I shouldn't say something like stupid subconscious, right? Bad. Can't say stupid subconscious. I should say, thank you, subconscious.
Yes.
You're trying to protect me with your limiting beliefs.
Yes. So,
okay. So I'll accept
John,
it first.
You're asking if limiting beliefs are not developed by our surroundings. So it's both. The answer is yes. The answer is we are limiting beliefs. We create our own limiting beliefs based off of our experiences that we have as a child. So if I'm on the playground as a young child and I walk up to Zach and he says, "Ooh, a girl," and then he runs away from me, I learn that walking up to, and then say other people saw and they're laughing at me, I learn that it's not safe to do that. I'm going to get rejected. So I may create a limiting belief of, you're not good enough to approach someone. You're not good enough to make friends. So then I might become very, very shy. Or my parents are constantly complaining about money. They're constantly saying, we can't afford this. We can't do this. We can't do this. We're going to have to get rid of this. And I wanted this, and say I wanted a gift for Christmas and I didn't get it. I'm going to associate that there's not enough money for me to have what I want. That's what I'm learning from my parents. Our limiting beliefs, we are taking on our environment and our surroundings as literal. We create limiting beliefs based off of how our environment, our surroundings are, and how our parents and our caretakers are responding to our environment and surroundings. Because at that age, we're helpless. We rely on them. We identify with them. And from the ages of 0 to 7 or 8, we're very narcissistic. We're meant to be narcissistic because that's how we're learning how the world works, how the world responds to us. But if we have parents who aren't aware that they're operating through limiting beliefs, then we will by default take on their limiting beliefs as our own. And you have limiting beliefs because you think something and it doesn't feel good in the body, or you want something, but there's a part of you that's saying, yeah, but, or I can't because, or this isn't isn't possible because it's closing possibilities. It's closing potential. All of that is limiting beliefs. Okay. Limiting beliefs, they're limiting you from creating the life that you desire, from having what it is that you actually want. Okay. And they are created by your surroundings, by what your parents said and did, by what your caretakers said and did, by just very intense experiences that you had. Because I'll go into this more deeply when I start talking about the subconscious and the emotional body, but I hope that answers your question. And so, so number one, we want to befriend the body when we're going to shift our limiting beliefs. So we can recognize like, okay, this belief is coming up because it's protecting me from something. What is it protecting me from? Now, going back to that parent example, is it protecting your parents from feeling humiliated of not being able to pay their bills? Is it protecting that limit? So that limiting belief of we don't have enough money to buy that toy. We don't have enough money to go out to dinner. Instead, we need to save that money. So what was that protecting your parents from? Protecting them probably from humiliation, not being able to pay their bills, from losing their house, right? Now that limiting belief today for you of, I need to hoard all my money. I need to save all of my money. I can't invest in this next property. I can't go out to dinner, or I can't buy what it is I want. What is that protecting you from? Is it protecting you from losing all of your money, from some unforeseen circumstance? Is it protecting you from feeling embarrassed? Is it protecting you from feeling humiliated? Is it protecting you from having to ask for support? With relationships, if we're not talking to people and say, I have a fear of going up and approaching someone that I'm attracted to, what is that fear protecting me from? That, well, they're not going to like you anyway, so don't go up and talk to them. Protect me from rejection, right? Protecting me from being embarrassed, potentially. Protecting me from having my heart broken, potentially. So it's going to be different for everyone, but just recognize that limiting beliefs are protection. So we can start to see them like that to then shift the dynamic of the conversation we are having with ourselves. Is this making sense to you guys? Let me know in the chat box. So when we can shift that conversation that we're having with ourselves, then we can come into the next part and we can really start to shift them. All right. So in that, when we start to shift them, then we don't want to focus on the mind. This is what so many people do when they try to outwill their limiting beliefs. But remember what I said about limiting beliefs, they're just energy, and all energy is stored in the body, because without the energy of the body, the brain wouldn't even be an organ that functions. Okay. So the mind works with the brain, and the mind connects to the energy body. All right. So the energy body, we experience the sensations of our energy body via our physical body. All right. I'll say this again. I'm actually going to walk you guys through a really fun exercise that you can experience your energy body. So our energy body is experienced through our physical body. So when we think those thoughts, like, I'm not good enough for this, that doesn't feel good. When we think thoughts like, wow, that person's very attractive, but they're not going to like me, that doesn't feel good. Or this isn't going to work out because that doesn't feel good. So we're experiencing the sensation of the energy of the thought as a density, right? Density in the chest. We did this last week. Density in the chest, contraction in the stomach, a tightness in the throat. Those are typically the three areas that we feel our energy the most. So what we want to do, because energy is living in the body, you have to remember the limiting belief has an emotional anchor. It has an emotional anchor that's keeping it locked in to your field. And until you clear the energy of the emotion that's triggering the belief from the body, the belief will still be there. Now, can you shift limiting beliefs without doing this? Yes, absolutely. But it's going to be challenging. If we can just go straight to the source, which is the body, because remember, limiting beliefs are created because of an emotional experience that we had as a result of something like rejection, or something like our parents not being able to pay the bills, or arguing about whatever. Is this landing with everyone? So we come back to the emotion. All right. So this is called the thinking feeling loop. And if you're familiar with Dr. Joe Dispenza, that might sound familiar because it's something that he talks about a lot. So when we think a thought, it creates a feeling in the body. That feeling creates more similar thoughts. Those thoughts create more similar feelings. And it's this cycle that we can't get out of. And when you're thinking the same thought, 80% of the thoughts we think today, we thought yesterday. And of those 80%, I'm sorry, of the 80,000-ish thoughts that we're thinking a day, 80% of those are from the day before. And if we're not shifting that loop, that thinking, feeling loop, then we get stuck in thinking thoughts that make us feel shitty, that make us think poor thoughts, that make us feel worse. And then we get into that loop. And then that goes on every single day until we create a pattern disrupt. And that pattern disrupt can be one of multiple things that we'll talk about. But we cannot try to outthink our limiting beliefs. Why? Because limiting beliefs are programmed in the subconscious mind. Zach was saying he's forming a healthier relationship with his subconscious.
We're working through it, everyone. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
Okay, so we figured out where limiting beliefs come from and the reasons behind them, and that they're emotionally anchored into our body. And so there's always a response from that. So we're going to always feel that emotional trigger whenever something is coming up. And we've talked about ways of identifying them when we say something like, I'm interested in doing that, but I'm not, the greatest. Or for me, a little while ago, I'm not good at social media. I'm not good at all. Right. And I'll put that out there and I'm like, right, how many people have I talked to recently? They're just like, oh no, I'm terrible at social media too. I was like, I shared those words too, except now I start to say, like, I'm getting better and better at social media every day. And I used to be not good at it. And that was really clearing for me, even just saying something like that. So, but getting into those types of things and learning how to identify when they come up, you'll start to get an ear for the words that you say when you're not good at something, or,
You're saying can't, or you're saying
can't
but.
do something.
And this was part of what we encouraged you guys to do
Never.
last week, was have that self-awareness around the words that you're speaking, the thoughts you're thinking, and the emotions that you're feeling, because this is how we begin to shift this, because we move energy in 3 ways. So if you want to release the energy of the limiting belief, you have to go to the body. And the 3 ways that we release energy from our body is movement, sound, or breath. Okay. So it's movement, sound, and or breath. We can use all 3, or you can use one of them. And so this is why sometimes when we speak things, we're like, wow, I feel so much better. Thank you for listening. Because sometimes that's all it takes. But sometimes when there's a very deep emotional anchor, like if you've been holding on to this limiting belief for a very, very long time, or it was a very intense experience that created the belief, then you might have to go deeper into the body and start using something more intentional, like breath and or movement. And this is where intuitive movement comes into play, but we're not going to go into that today. Don't worry. I'm not going to have you all start dancing on camera. But I will encourage you that this is why when you get angry, how many people want to punch when they get angry? It's like, oh my gosh, I just want to punch something. That's your body trying to intuitively move that energy out. How many people, when you're really happy, you might jump up and down or squeal or like shake your fists? That's your body intuitively wanting to express gratitude, excitement. Or how many people, when you're sad, you want to cry and you kind of like bend forward and you might like actually start shivering towards the end of you crying? That's your body moving that energy intuitively. We do a lot of this stuff unconsciously. It's just we don't really think about what the body is just naturally doing. But the body is always trying to release energy. It's our conscious mind, that higher brain that only humans have, that mammals have, but humans have the most evolved, that we are able to tell ourselves, no, don't move. I'm not going to do this because it's weird, or I'm not going to do this because it feels uncomfortable. Okay. So until we can get comfortable with feeling uncomfortable in our body, then that energy can still be circulating around. But this is what, hold on, I want to just make sure I cover this. So in order to create new beliefs in the body, you want to first recognize, okay, I'm thinking this belief and it doesn't feel good. Where in my body does this not feel good? Because that's where the energy of that belief is. And last week we talked about this. So a lot of us said like chest or throat or stomach. So from there, then you can start to you can practice sending your breath there. You can practice like asking how does this energy want to move? And then begin moving that energy. This will be an exercise for a different time, because it'll take me some time to walk people through this, but just to start giving you some ideas of how you can connect with this energy and move it. And then once you move the energy, you create the new belief. And this is where now we're going to enter into affirmations. This is where people get caught up with affirmations, is we try to out affirm ourselves from a bad mood or a bad attitude. How many people, when you are having a bad day, you try to like think of all good things, or you try to just repeat your affirmations to get you into a more positive mood? That is not what we want to do, because now we're associating those positive, that affirmation with these negative emotions. The body is doing this subconsciously. So we want to first shift our energy and then create the new belief and then create the new affirmation. Okay. Is that following? Isn't that counterintuitive? Isn't that counterintuitive to try to use affirmations to get yourself out of a bad mood? It can be, yes, but I was one of those people. I would try to journal my way out of a bad mood. If I'm in a bad mood, I just write down a bunch of stuff that I wanted to create, like affirmations that I had. But what I'm doing is I'm locking in those affirmations with that negative emotion. So I want to first clear the emotion so that my body is open to receiving the energy. Because what happens, think of your emotional body where the limiting belief is being locked in. Think of your emotional body as a jar. And this jar, if you have a lot of repressed emotions, meaning you have a lot of limiting beliefs, meaning you might get triggered by people. We'll talk about triggers in a different episode, but triggered by people. So you might get very emotional by someone cuts you off on the road and you're like, you freak out. That's a trigger. Someone says something negative to you and it causes you to have an emotional response. That's a trigger. So a trigger is just somewhere in your body that's showing you you're still holding on to some emotion. So those emotions build up over time, and this jar can build up and it can fill up. And we can't bring in new energy into the jar unless we release some of the energy out of the jar. So we want to first release the energy, and then we can bring in the new energy and start to reprogram the subconscious mind, because we reprogram the subconscious mind through intensity and repetition. So intensity would be that emotion. So we want to make sure that when we have that new belief that we want, so what is an easy way to figure out the beliefs that you have right now is to say, what's going on in my life right now? What do I not like about that? What would someone have to believe in order to be experiencing this? That's your limiting belief. To create a desired belief, what is my ideal reality? What would someone have to believe to be living that? That's your new belief, AKA your affirmations.
All right. Do you want to repeat that again for us? So I'm going to identify things that are stagnant in me, my limiting beliefs right now. And it's, what was that again?
So when you identify your limiting beliefs, then we'll just go through this exercise very quickly. We're going to go into this deeper on another call, but I do want you guys to experience this because it will help you actually start to feel your energy body, which we all have. So you can close your eyes or you can keep them open, whatever is working for you. But I do encourage you just to take this time to connect with yourself. So just think of a limiting belief. Think of something that doesn't feel good. Maybe it's a belief of I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy. The money that I want to make, it's not going to happen this year, whatever it is, because anything can happen in any moment. All it takes is a shift. So just think about something that just doesn't feel good. Maybe it's something you've been struggling with. Maybe you're just like, I'm so overwhelmed. Okay. And just ask yourself, if this belief was taking up space in my body, where would it be? Where would this belief be? The energy of this belief. Where would the energy of this belief be in my body? And just notice, is your awareness or your attention taken to your chest or your throat or your shoulders, your hips or your gut? Maybe your forehead. I don't want to speak it for you, but just notice. You might start to some density, some tension, some constriction might just say, hey, I'm here. Trust. So then you go to that area in your body. So that's where the energy of this particular belief is. And you can ask, is there an emotion here? What's the emotion behind this limiting belief? Might be something like fear, worry, stress, shame, guilt, grief, anxiety. And finally, just go ahead and ask if there is an emotion here, how does this emotion want to be acknowledged? Acknowledged, meaning how does it want to be experienced? How does your body want to experience this emotion? You might get an urge to cry. You might get an urge to go for a walk. You might get an urge to have a conversation with someone. You might get an urge to just sit there and breathe. You might see yourself doing something. Does that resonate with you?
Yeah. Yeah. I can see. So I'm thinking about some of my limiting beliefs about attracting money to me, starting up some new businesses and stuff. And it's anxiety provoking. It's not as focused for some things right now. So, childhood things about attracting money towards me. Am I good enough? Do I know enough?
So where are you feeling that in your body?
I'm feeling it right here, a little bit in my throat, but it's like it's in my chest.
So the emotion
right
is
in here.
anxiety.
Yeah, well, I guess it's probably the anxiety feeling around that of just being good stewards of that. Just, am I going to do enough to protect everything that's in there?
So those are the beliefs. So the emotion, would you say, is that anxiety?
Yeah, there's anxiety around it for sure. A little fear.
Fear. Okay.
Not being
So
good
how
enough.
does this want to be acknowledged or experienced or felt? And if you are someone that tends to be a little bit of an overthinker, or you tend to operate from logic, this exercise might be difficult for you. So just know that we're going to go into this more deeply on a call later and date, but it just helps to have you have this experience so you can start to understand this is how we connect to the energy in the body. And when we connect to the energy, we can recognize, okay, I'm feeling dense in my chest. If this density or this tension had an emotion attached to it, what would that emotion be? And if that emotion wanted to be acknowledged or experienced, how would that emotion want to be acknowledged or experienced in my body? And then when it comes up, I feel like I want to start moving. I feel like I want to breathe deeply. Maybe I just want to take a deep breath and send some fresh air, some fresh breath to that area of my chest. And then you ask, okay, am I ready to release this? And then how does it want to be released? And that's when you really go into a movement practice or deep breathing, or you really start talking it out, or you might feel like an urge to scream, because that's a really good way to move a lot of energy. Screaming out fuck, like fuck, that's a great way to move a lot of dense energy. It's very guttural and it really digs into your lower energy centers and it moves it out verbally. And so screaming fuck into a pillow is one of my favorite ways to clear a lot of heavy energy.
If you could be a fly on the wall in our house, I'm like, what the hell is going on around here?
Recommend it. And I encourage my clients to keep a hoodie in their car, to use their pillow and just scream into it. And then I'll take the pillow and I'll have like a pillow fight with the pillow in the bed. And then you can punch it if you want to punch something, you don't have a punching bag. And it's a great way to move energy. If you can just get past your ego saying, this is freaking weird, then you'll feel a lot better. And then the point being, we don't want to say, hey, I need to release this energy right now. Because first we want to let our body know it's safe. So having this emotion, that fear and anxiety, the experience is, I'm safe to experience this. I need to remind myself that this is safe here.
This is normal.
Yes, this is normal. It's safe. This emotion is welcome. And then we go into, okay, this emotion is welcome and it's not really serving me anymore. So how can I release it?
Yeah.
Right.
So for me, the things that came up for me is just taking that deep breath first. It felt like I could take another deep breath afterwards. And it was like enabling for me to then feel like, yeah, I could talk about this, even though I can hear my own brain saying, I don't really want to talk about this, but I know that if I were to talk about it, it would feel better. And then also experientially, I know that when I run, I go outside and I run. That's my thing where it's my active meditation. It allows me to process everything that's happening in my body. My mind is a little more hazy as it gets into that runner's high that happens. And it just allows a lot of wonderful things to happen. And I feel lighter, clearer, and I'll probably get some clarity on whatever that situation is. So I might be even more akin to talk about at that point, or even I'm more aware of what those things are to speak them, to talk about them. Because I don't know if you guys get like this, but sometimes I just like, it's happening at the time, and like talking about it feels so hard to me that it's just, I need a little bit of time to process some things inside of my head, not even actively thinking about them, just letting my brain
and
move, my subconscious work on it.
Triggered. That's when you're activating a trigger. And we'll have an entire class about triggers and how to move through emotional triggers. But I just wanted to give this to you guys is, so Zach is using movement to move that energy, to release the energy, and then breath. Because when you're exercising, you're more intentionally breathing, so you can keep your heart rate under control when you're running longer distances. So he's using breath and running to move that out. I like to use sound and movement a lot. There's no right or wrong way, and each emotion that you're experiencing with each belief is probably going to want to be experienced differently. But the key points are to use the belief to track the energy in the body. When you've tracked the energy in the body via tension, density, contraction, constriction, communicate with it what the emotion is. When you find that emotion, then tell yourself, it's safe. This is safe. It's okay. And then ask it, how does this want to be acknowledged? How does this want to be experienced? Maybe I just need to sit here and be like, hey, I'm feeling this fear. Maybe I need to have a conversation with someone. And then how does this energy, when it feels ready to be released, how does it want to be released? Your body will tell you. But like I said, if you're an overthinker, you use your head a lot, you're very much in logic, then this might take a little bit. This is more of an advanced exercise to do, but ultimately just start recognizing your limiting belief has an emotional anchor. And what you want to do is you want to bring in a better feeling emotion. So that would be affirmations, right? So I want to move into affirmations very quickly. And I think we might actually have to finish affirmations next week. But what affirmations are is they essentially bridge the gap between where you're at and where you want to be. Okay. And where people screw up with affirmations is they just write a bunch of stuff down of like, I'm a millionaire. I work 1 hour a week. I have all of these things. I have a boat. I have 6 houses all in the ocean or on the ocean or in the mountains or whatever, when they're living in a 1-bedroom studio apartment. So what happens here is there's too much of a gap, and their subconscious mind is like, you're a liar. This is not true. So important things to note with affirmations is, yes, they want to be in present tense. We do not want to say, I will achieve this, or I'm going to achieve this, because your subconscious mind takes everything literally. And we use affirmations to reprogram the subconscious mind. Okay. So when the subconscious mind is taking everything literally and we're constantly saying, I will, or I'm going to, guess what you're going to find yourself doing? Constantly being in that state of, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get this. I will do this. So we want to speak them in present tense. Okay. From there, we want to speak them in first person. So it's always an I. It's not a Monique and Zach will do this. Monique and Zach are doing this. It's an I, it's a me. Okay. From there, you want to create a stronger emotional anchor in the body than the limiting belief has. Okay. So this is where I'm going to say some stuff and then I'll bring it all back around. Okay. And if Zach will clarify, will hold me back if I need to. All right. So we have that new belief. How do we identify the new affirmation we want? We ask ourselves, what life do I want to be living? What would someone have to believe in order to be living that life? And maybe it's not even your life. Maybe it's just, if I'm going to land this deal, what beliefs do I need to have in order to land this deal? If I'm going to expand my business, what beliefs do I need to have if I'm going to expand my business? Okay. And so from there, or if I'm going to have healthier relationships, what beliefs do I need to have those healthier relationships with myself or other people or money or anything? So from there, we ask, okay, and we did this last week. So how is it going to feel when I'm on the other side of that? When I'm on the other side of that, how is it going to feel? It's going to feel, most people say like, it's going to feel freaking awesome. Yes. And what's the emotion? You can even use the chat box if you want to start bringing in these emotions. So what's the emotion? Are you going to feel so grateful? Are you going to feel blissful, joyful? Are you going to feel elated, relaxed, peaceful? You're not stressing yourself out anymore. Are you going to feel more like spacious? So maybe your schedule has more space. Maybe your day has more space, right? Yeah, joyful, beautiful, happy and proud, elated. Yes, elated, such a good one. And so connect that emotion. So I encourage my clients and just anyone that I'm working with to identify about 3 emotions per each belief. If you go more, but no more than 5. So 3 to 5 emotions. And then from there, bringing that emotional anchor in, we want it to be something that we can like really tap into. So do you remember a time where you felt so grateful? Do you remember a time where you felt really peaceful? For us, that's in nature a lot of the time.
Yeah.
Do you remember a time where you felt very proud and happy? So then we can practice bringing in that emotion via those memories. Okay. I'm going to pause here. I will come back. Any questions?
Okay. No, we're going to recap real quick because we need some slower things. So affirmations, number 1, they need to be in the present tense, not the future, not I will do something, not I was something, I am something. And number 2 has to be first person. So it's I. Number 3, we need that emotional anchor. So finding that emotional anchor so that we can fill that jar, like she was saying, with all of those new emotions and everything on there, with all the bad ones that are out of there already, and those thoughts, the jar will get full of this new set of emotions. So 3 to 5 for every type of affirmations. And some of your questions were really good, just to cue yourself, what would a person think that had the successful business that I'm looking to go into? What's someone that had a relationship that I want as an ideal relationship? What would that person be thinking to attract that they'd already have? They would already have. What would that person be thinking? And then, so what are those emotions specifically tied to you that you would have in those situations?
And when you're thinking about your ideal future, make sure that it's yours. It's not something that you think you should have in order to be successful, but it's something that actually aligns with you. And then from there, we want to make sure that our affirmations are believable. So we have to build believability with our affirmations. Going back to the person living in the studio apartment, them saying, I make $1 million a month, I have 6 houses on the ocean and the mountains, their subconscious mind is gonna be like, okay, this is a little bit of a stretch. Okay. So our affirmations, we want them to be expanders. And what does that mean? That means the area that we're living now, the comfort zone of where we're living now, we want to maybe expand that 10%. And our affirmations get to live in there. Okay. And then when we start to achieve that, then we create new affirmations, expanding another 10%. So these expander affirmations might look something like some expander words that you can use. If it feels too unbelievable, I am capable of
becoming a millionaire.
Yes. I am open to
becoming a millionaire. Being on the beach.
It is safe for me to become a millionaire.
In a relationship. Oh yeah, to become a millionaire. Because sometimes there's just fear of success around all of that. Sure. So
remembering that the body's ultimate goal is safety. It is safe for me to have this. Okay. So we want to repeat those when our brain is most impressionable. That's in the morning and at night before bed, or when we're doing things like exercising, when we're not in a beta wavelength, when we're more in alpha, delta, or theta.
Yeah. So beta is that conscious, I'm processing, thinking things. That alpha and that theta, those are more when you're waking up, going to sleep, or if you get into that, for me, that running state where my mind's like, it's going all off every different direction, and it's just crazy. Sometimes for people, it's even like in the shower. You think of great things in the shower, you're in more of that alpha state. Yeah. You're going along without even thinking about it, and stuff is happening. So there's many different ways that you can program it, but doing it in those states is more permanent. It's more lasting. It affects you in a better way, because that's where we really want to get to anyway.
Yes.
Because that's the thing that.
Yes. Go ahead.
She says yes.
Yeah,
so that's all good.
Yes. And how we lock this in is through that emotional anchor. So that's the intensity. So we have the repetition, morning, evening, when you're in a more daydreamy state. And then we have the intensity. That's the emotional anchor. So we need to write affirmations that feel so freaking good to think about. Like, when I'm on the other side of this, I'm going to be so freaking excited. My affirmation puts me in that state. And until we really build believability around that, what can you do throughout the day is you can find things. So for an example, finding ways to feel joyful, to feel elated, happy, and proud. You might be doing something. So what you can do is find ways to bring those emotional experiences into your body throughout the day. So what does that mean? Happy. So I know, like, when I'm with Zach, I'm most of the time very, very happy. And so maybe I'll spend more time with him. Or after I work out, I feel very, very happy or joyful. After I've completed something, I feel very proud and joyful, or maybe confident. Maybe when you make a certain amount of money, you associate that with confidence. So when I'm working out, I feel very confident. So what can you do every single day to start feeling the emotions of your affirmation on a daily basis, even if it's for 30 seconds to a minute? Peaceful. Maybe you start taking 5-minute walks outside in nature. Maybe you start wearing your favorite color that you look really good in to feel more confident. Maybe you have have like a weekly conversation with a friend to feel very happy and relaxed. But what are some things you can do now that are not associated with your affirmations that you can start feeling those emotions of the affirmation today? Does that make sense? And then start doing that today, because then when you think about your affirmation, it's going to be easier for your body to create that emotional experience because you're practicing it every single day.
So an example might be, if we're trying to become a millionaire in anything, it's like, what would a millionaire be doing and having those emotions? What would I be doing in those times? Well, it goes back to my why, and it's hanging out with my family, being present with them, enjoying nature, helping other people, those things.
So how would that feel?
It gives me that happy feeling, that proud feeling, that comfortable feeling, that ability to be calm and relaxed and just to do those things that I want to do, and not have to worry. There's no worry at that point. So I'm not as anxious, but instead of saying not anxious, because that's not very helpful, we want to say the positive emotion side of things. So it's just that peaceful, that relaxing, that easygoing, all of that. That feels wonderful.
So what can you do today to start feeling those emotions?
I can.
Or pick one of them and start feeling it today. What can you do?
So for me, it's going into nature, being relaxed, being just in more of a state where I'm not wondering what the next thing is, worried about the next thing, just detaching from that. Might even be sitting in a massage chair and relaxing.
So then that is now the most important thing that you could do every single day. Because you have to understand the emotional experience that your body creates. We talked about this last week. The thought sends out the text message to the universe. Okay. The emotion that you're holding in your body most of the time throughout the day brings in the experience. It's how you cultivate the experience, because we are self-fulfilling prophecies. Your emotional, your energy body is connected to your subconscious. You will subconsciously begin to seek out these experiences that you have based on the emotions that you're feeling. Okay. So when you feel the emotion of your affirmations on a daily basis, that's now one of the most important things that you could be doing every single day, even if it's just for a few minutes a day. And then you start building on that. And then eventually you begin to shift your emotionality, which is like the overall emotional state that you experience on a day-to-day basis. Okay. And because your emotions are part of that thinking, feeling loop, the more you can start feeling happy, the more you start feeling confident, the more you start feeling proud, the more your thoughts are going to start reflecting that. And so that is how we then shift this thinking, feeling loop. So from last week, we have that self-awareness of when we're thinking those negative thoughts or those limiting beliefs. And then from this week, we can create that pattern disrupt of, okay, I'm not thinking this anymore. How does this energy want to move from my body so it gets out? And then from there, we connect to the affirmation. And then now that this energy is moved and I have this clean slate, what energy do I want to bring into my body? Well, I want to feel happier because I know that associating me making $1 million a month, I feel really freaking happy, right? Or I'm capable of making $1 million a month, or it's safe for me to make $1 million a month. I feel really happy. It's safe for me to be in the relationship of my dreams. That feels really nice. That feels very loving to me. So then what can I do today for a minimum of, all you need is a minimum of 1 minute today, 1 minute, and then build on that. What can I do for a minimum of 1 minute today to feel that emotion more? And then you'll, write out or repeat your affirmations in the morning and the evening if you want to. You can do either or both, repetition and or intensity. Does this make sense? Is this landing with you guys? Because I want to finish up today right now and ask any questions if anybody has any questions. And if you want to create your affirmations and you have questions of like, well, I don't know if this is a good affirmation or not, you can post them. If you're in sub 2, post them and tag one of us so we can see it, or just message us on Facebook or Instagram and just say, okay, does this feel good? Okay. And this is how you know if your affirmations feel good. One last exercise, and then we will wrap up for today if nobody has any questions. So how you know if your affirmations, if they are believable in your body. All right. So what I'm going to have you do is I'm actually going to invite you to close your eyes right now. So if you're multitasking and you want to do this exercise, I highly encourage you just to not multitask for the next 3 minutes. Okay. So you can just close your eyes. We'll just go ahead and take a nice cleansing breath in through the nose, exhale out through the mouth. Go ahead and do that one more time. Maybe you want to shake out your wrists or roll your neck. Just get comfortable, relax. Okay. Again, there is no right or wrong here. There's only an experience that you're having. And if you are having a difficult time, that's totally fine. I'll just encourage you to practice this and it will come. So just go ahead and notice your throat, the area of your throat, and just notice how it feels. We're not changing anything. Just notice how it feels. Notice the space of your throat. Once you have a general idea, we're going to move down to the chest. And just notice how your chest feels. If this is the first time you've ever sent your attention to your chest, wonderful. Your body is so happy you're connecting with it. And just notice. If you're having a hard time noticing, that's totally fine too. We're not changing anything. And next, go ahead and send your attention to your stomach, your gut area. And just notice how it feels. We're not changing anything. This right now is your neutral. Okay. So next, I'm going to have you in your mind's eye, so in your head, just go ahead and say either of these. Body, show me what a yes feels like, or what does a yes feel like? So you're either commanding your body, show me what a yes feels like, or you're asking your body, what does a yes feel like? And just notice any slight shifts that may or may not happen. Sometimes it helps to ask it on the inhale, what does a yes feel like? And as you exhale, notice your body's response. Okay. And next, just set the intention, go back to neutral. So next, we're going to say, body, show me what a no feels like. Or what does a no feel like? and go ahead and come back to neutral. You may have gotten both responses. You may have gotten one. You may have gotten kind of some. But just to test this, I'm going to have you repeat your name to yourself. So my name is, and just repeat that to yourself. And notice your body's yes. My name is. Okay. And so there's no Xavier on this call. So that's the name that we're going to use. So go ahead and now say, my name is Xavier. Or is my name Xavier? And just notice and just come back to neutral. So that is a way you can open your eyes. That is a way to notice your body's yes and no response. Your body is always responding emotionally to anything before your conscious mind can even catch on to what's happening. And it responds through the sensations it gives you. Okay. We're just so detached from our energy body that we don't recognize the responses that it's constantly giving us. So when you're writing your affirmations, you can write, like when you're saying, whatever your affirmation is. If someone wants to give me an example of an affirmation in the chat box real quick, you're more than welcome to. But do you want to give me an example of an affirmation, babe?
Yeah, well, I always start out, I'm the master of my thoughts.
Okay, I'm the master of my thoughts. So you can repeat that to yourself. I'm the master of my thoughts. And your body will tell you, yes, this feels true, or no, this is bullshit. So then you can notice, yes, this feels true, or no, this is not true for you yet.
So I'm curious, so I've never done this exercise before. And when she talks about people that are really in their head, that's me, right? So really thinking about a lot of things. So my yes, for what it seems, is it's almost like it's coming up into my throat a little bit more, and my no kind of moves down towards my stomach.
Yeah. So how many people were able to experience something on at least one of those?
It seemed really subtle.
Let me know.
And it wasn't the first time, and it wasn't until I was saying my own name and a different name that it was really coming through strong, because I've never done something like that before. Yeah. So you may notice one stronger than the other. You may have noticed both. So typically with a yes, there's a almost like a lifting. People will experience an expansion, a lightness. Some people will physically have a response of, like, they might sit up a little straighter. Their chest might pop out a little bit more. They might feel flutters in their stomach. You might see a color if you're more into the intuitive sense of clairvoyance, more of like seeing things. Or for a no, you might, some people will cry during a yes or no. So you're just feeling that relief, that crying. I've had people get emotional. So for a no, on the other hand, then you might actually contract. You might actually roll forward. You might feel a drop, a density, a tension, a contraction in the front of the body, because this is where we're most sensitive. And so whether you felt one really strong and not really another one, at least you know what one is and what it isn't. Or if you felt both, you felt both. This is an exercise you can practice every single day, because as you continue more of your healing and more of your self-awareness, it will change. But just know that you can use this exercise for things like, I saw in here, opportunities are in the works without me knowing it. Do I believe that? Do I believe that opportunities are in the works without me knowing it? Do I believe that the universe is always conspiring for me? Yes. Right. So if I want to believe that, then I can practice saying, it's safe for me to believe that opportunities are in the works without me knowing it. It's safe for me to believe that the universe is always conspiring in my favor. If that doesn't quite feel like a truth yet, but I want it to feel like a truth, I can use those gap words, those bridge words that we talked about, to bring that emotional experience in, because we want our body to feel safe in our affirmations. Because if we are repeating affirmations that don't feel safe, it doesn't matter how many times we repeat those affirmations. Right. So this is a really fun way to connect with your body and to see, does this feel true or not? So that you can start to experience that. So I'm proud that I'm the master of my thoughts. I feel safe that I'm the master of my thoughts. I feel capable because I'm the master. To be the master of my thoughts.
So I am the master of my thoughts is the affirmation. So if that feels true for you, wonderful. That's your affirmation. And if it doesn't quite feel true, but you want it to, it is safe for me to be the master of my thoughts.
So that's one of those bridge words,
Yes.
or like I'm working towards.
I'm capable of.
I'm capable
I believe
of.
I am able to. I'm open to. It is safe for me.
Okay. So those are
Yes.
good ones to write down. Is just, even as we're expanding, these affirmations that you have now aren't going to be the ones that serve you as well a year from now or 10 years from now. And so it's nice to know little things so that we can take on something real big that right now feels like, oh, I don't know about that, right?
Yeah.
Living in a 1-bedroom apartment, moving on to all the different houses that you're going to live into.
It's like we want to skip to the next rock in the pond. We're not going to jump across the entire pond because we're going to fall in. So you just want to skip to the next rock. And if you can get to the next rock, then you might be able to start skipping too once you feel more confident. But use your body as a tool because that's what it is. Okay. In order to bridge these gaps between what your reality is and what you want it to be. All right. So, couple questions. Morgan, yes, that's normal. What you were experiencing. It's going to be unique for everybody. But yes, it is. What happens if I'm not sure of what I felt? I think if you're not sure, then I recommend practicing. Just keep practicing. If you feel like you're pushing yourself to feel something, then just shake it out. Just do something to refresh your energy. Shake your hands, shake your body, do a little movement, release whatever that pressure energy is. Remember, movement, breath, or sound moves that energy. So release that pressure energy and then come back and be like, there's no pressure here. I'm just playing. I'm just experiencing. Right?
I get you, Gabby. I need to do some more practice too.
Yeah. Okay, Nathan, you want to ask your question and then we will wrap up. You guys are so welcome. Thank you guys for being here.
Yeah, and thank you guys for doing this again, week 2. So this is awesome. I guess just like Zach, this was my first time ever doing this exercise, and so I guess I think you said some people feel, I guess, like lighter or whatever. I guess I felt like my chest felt lighter. So I guess that means I'm doing it correctly.
Yeah. So that's okay. Correctly is the key word here. There is no correct or incorrect. There is no right or wrong. It just is what it is. So your experience is your experience today. And that may shift. However, we can practice our experience to know, okay, does this feel like my yes? So if you felt a lightness, a shift, some type of relief, maybe an emotional response, then trust that, yeah, I did this. I did this how I was supposed to. And then on your no, just listen to when I say no. How many people feel that shift when I say just no? You feel a little like, oh, like my stomach tightens up a little bit. Yeah, no. I say no. It's a natural response in the body to just contract a little bit. Yes, it's a natural response to open up a little bit. So working with your body, working with your emotions, working with your energy field, there is no right, wrong, correct, incorrect. There just is the experience that you get to practice building a relationship with and begin to trust. So we are teaching you to trust your body. And so by teaching me to trust my body, if I'm thinking that there's a right and a wrong way to do this, I'm going to create a relationship with my body of this is right, this is wrong, which might trigger perfectionism, right?
Oh.
And I'm a recovering perfectionist.
Oh yeah, me too.
So let's just remind ourselves like, okay, I'm just going to practice this and take notes, keep a journal. This was my yes today. This was my no. Do that every day for a week. Do it every day, 3 times a day. You guys did it. We did that exercise in 3 minutes. Do it every day, 3 times a day, and just see, this was my yes. This was my no. Okay. This is pretty much my yes. This is pretty much my no. And I trust that. That's the biggest thing. So yes, you did do it how you were supposed to do it, Nathan, and trust that.
Yeah. I was just going to add, I'm going to start taking note of things in this next week that make me feel light and happy, and things that make me feel denser, activities that I'm doing denser, because I'm trying to feel out what type of business vision that I really want to hone, because I'm at that point where I can do that. And so I want to trust and listen to my body's response from that, which I haven't done in the past. So it's very new to me. So it'll come and go and I'll forget about it easily. And I won't be able to recap it when she asks me about it later in the week. So I'm just going to try and keep note of it, keep a special piece of paper, notepad, whatever, and just keep track of those things as soon as they come down.
And notice that some things that will come up is like, if I know, this is why it's so important to have your vision, and we can go into vision on another call, but to have your vision, because if I know what I'm doing is benefiting me and is towards my vision and it doesn't feel safe in my body, that means there's some repressed emotions there. There's some limiting beliefs. But so there can be a hierarchical checklist of, is this action going to connect me more to my vision, connect me more to that ideal reality? If so, then the belief, I can make this my affirmation, I can start taking action towards it and clearing whatever emotions want to be cleared. But if it's not in alignment with me, it's also going to feel crappy in the body. So you can ask, if it's not in alignment with me, then you can even ask, is this in alignment with me? Yes or no? Because it can be in alignment and you can still feel scared. You can still have that contracting experience in the body because you're scared. But that's where you get clarity around, is this in alignment for me to move forward? We'll go deeper into that in another call.
Because growth can be scary, and
Yes.
you could have a fear of success,
Yes.
fear of being
Yeah.
happy, and you'll sabotage yourself.
Yeah.
That can all
We'll
be fear.
lead us into next week. We're going to talk about like expanding your comfort zone, comparing with other people, the ego, and how that all shows up next week too. But I think we can do like one more question. So I'll do Jenny again. Nathan, if you want to type something in the chat box. But Jenny,
This was great. I'll tell you
thank
what,
you.
I'm actually certified in NLP, and I
Oh.
did that because this was 10 years ago. I quit smoking after 33 years through hypnosis with NLP. On like the third try, it took a
Wow.
few, but
Mhm.
what I learned was it's all about the speaker and letting yourself visualize
Mhm.
in detail. So
Yes,
I
yes.
love what you're doing. You're a good, great couple,
Thank
because
you.
the samples and all that. I would just ask you to slow down a little, because you
Slow
are
down.
just so full of energy.
I know, I
and-
get
and
excited.
My mind can't keep up with you and do the work.
I'm with you. I'm with you, Jenny. That's why I'm here. I'm like, oh
That's why
my
Zach's here.
gosh. Wow. Yeah, if that's the only thing I can bring, then I'm doing at least a
Yeah.
good job with that.
Yeah, you're great.
What's
You're a natural.
NLP?
Neuro-linguistic programming.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the anchoring.
Hmm.
So they anchored belly breaths
Mhm.
for me. Every time I subconsciously would get a craving, I'd do these big belly breaths and
Mhm.
never knew it. Well, now I found out I have COPD, and good thing I've been doing the belly breaths, because I can breathe better than
Yeah.
I should for the way my lungs
Good.
look.
Good.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah. Thank you guys for being here. So I think that is all the questions for today. And
We have
we have to wrap
something
off.
for them to
Wrap up.
work on.
I would encourage you to start identifying your limiting beliefs and then identify, okay, what would someone have to believe in order to have the reality that I want? Those are your affirmations. And then do the energy body exercise. Just connect to your yes, connect to your no. See what that feels like. If you have questions, you can message us, you can tag us on Facebook. And we're just going to keep going deeper into this. Like, we're still scratching the surface, you guys. There's just so much that I just want you to have an awareness of. So we will be going deeper into this. So write out affirmations if you want to. Use those bridge words, and then do connect to your energy body, because you can use that exercise for anything. Is this a good deal for me to go into? Yes or no. Is this a good person? Is this person for my best and highest good to partner with? Yes and no. So you can get clarity in any area of your life with that exercise.
Should we be identifying limiting beliefs and then creating affirmations to
Yeah. So
get over them? To
Mhm.
should they be directly related, or should we just picture the person in the future that we want to be and build affirmations towards that?
So you can identify your limiting beliefs if that's helpful for you, but I don't want you to put your focus there, because what we focus on will expand. So focus on the beliefs that you want to be true. The limiting beliefs will show up as you continue evolving and you continue growing and you continue expanding your comfort zone. You'll pinpoint what your limiting beliefs are. If there's something in your life where you were just so sick of feeling this and it's a pattern, it's a cycle, then you can ask, what would someone have to believe to keep experiencing this? Then identify your limiting belief. Otherwise, I want you to just focus on the beliefs that you want to be true, the reality that you want to experience. Create your affirmations from there, because that's where we want to send your focus. That's where we want to send your energy, to creating that.
Okay. So, and then it's just noticing what these limiting beliefs are.
Noticing
So
when you're
that's
thinking something that feels like crap.
that's the first step, is just
Yeah.
being self-aware of those things so that they're not in control of you. You are then in control of them
Yeah.
and your thoughts. So just noticing them. And so just like when I was saying, I'm not good at social media, not good at making videos and things like that, I would hear myself saying that. It's like, well, okay, that's not the case anymore. That's who I used to be. And then so I'm starting to make things. I mean, Ivan wrote it down. I'm great at social media. I'm great at making videos and things, right? And it was before I subconsciously believed that, for sure, but it's getting better every day. And when I said that I'm great at it and I'm great at it, and the next one was I'm getting better at it every day, well, that one really stuck to me. That was my bridge type of thing, because it's like, well, that's easy to believe because I am getting better at it every day. I'm working towards that. So that bridge limiting belief allows me to much more realize and accept the fact that, yeah, I'm great at making videos. I'm great at teaching people. I'm great at social media. And so it just feels much more natural at that point by having those little bridges in there. And I guess I didn't even realize I was doing it. But that's why it's so nice having her here, guys, is just, she really, breaks things down at a scientific level. And it's stuff that, again, it's stuff that I've been working on through the years, but I didn't even realize, some of the stuff that I was doing. Some was formal and some was informal. So we're going to try and give you a little bit of both of those, the anecdotal experiences and then the open the book up and slow down the words of what's actually happening, or maybe just repeat them, or, we'll give them to you in different ways. And so, yeah, great. I'm excited for that.
Yeah. So we will see you guys next Thursday, same time, same place. And if anything comes up between now and then, don't hesitate to reach out to one of us. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely, guys.
Okay.
Hope you're a little more happy, lighter, and have a wonderful rest of your week, and Merry Christmas. Love you all.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.